Hello everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies, and we are officially in the year of 2025, meaning that we are going to be getting a lot more amazing movies coming out in this new year. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is giving you guys my top 10 most anticipated movies that will be releasing in the year of 2025. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below your most anticipated movies of 2025. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, kicking off the list at number 10, I have 28 Years Later. Now this is a movie that I probably wouldn't be excited for if it weren't for that trailer, because I do think that the trailer for 28 Years Later has honestly gotta be one of the best trailers that we've gotten for a horror movie ever, alongside with like films like Nosferatu. But aside from the trailer, I think this movie looks rather interesting. This movie is set 28 years after the initial rage virus outbreak that we saw first in 28 Days Later. Yeah, I do think that this movie looks very good and interesting, that I will definitely watch this movie. Not to mention that this film also goes ahead and sets up an entire trilogy, which we know that the second movie will be coming out January 2026. Coming in at number 9 is The Conjuring: Last Rites. Now, I am a fan of the Conjuring universe. In fact, I really don't think there is a bad film in the Conjuring universe. Well, maybe besides the first Annabelle movie, but putting that aside, I feel like this franchise has been pretty good and pretty consistent in terms of quality. And with the last movie that released in this universe, The Nun 2, possibly teasing this fourth movie, I cannot wait to check this one out. It's also labeled as the final film in this franchise. Now, I think it means that after this movie, we're only going to be getting spin-offs of the Conjuring universe. I am excited to see this movie and see where they go with this film, because do they introduce like a brand new demon or monster for this movie, or will Valak be the main villain of this movie? Overall, my excitement for The Conjuring 4 is pretty high and will make for a good birthday movie in 2025. Coming in at number 8 is Captain America: Brave New World. Now, I'm kinda not really looking forward to this movie, because considering that I wasn't really that big of a fan of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I found that show to be rather boring. But from what we got from the trailers of Brave New World, looks very promising. I mean, we're gonna be getting Sam Wilson officially becoming Captain America, fighting against the Red Hulk. And what makes it even more interesting, Sam Wilson does not have the Super Soldier Serum, so it's gonna make that fight between Sam and the Red Hulk very interesting. And we're also going to be returning to that Tiamat Island, which has been like the biggest unanswered question since the Eternals. And overall, yeah, this movie looks really good and looks online for like movies like Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Civil War, at least in my opinion. So I'm hoping that it can be just as good as those movies, or if it ends up being like as boring as Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I will be disappointed. Taking 7th place is Thunderbolts. Now, I honestly think that Thunderbolts is gonna be the most entertaining comic book movie that we're gonna be getting in the year 2025. And those trailers that do not really need to be close to 4 minutes in length actually make the movie look very fun, and definitely will be a blast to watch on the big screen. I'm liking the dynamic between the Thunderbolt members like Yelena, Red Guardian, Winter Soldier, and John Walker. And speaking of the Winter Soldier, he's going back to peak Winter Soldier, which we haven't seen since Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And this movie looks like a lot of fun, and I do think that this movie could honestly be Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. Not that being like a bad thing, But I do think that this movie will honestly be just as fun as like James Gunn's The Suicide Squad that we got. Taking sixth place is Avatar Fire and Ash. Now, I am a big fan of the Avatar franchise. I think the first two movies are not only visually masterpieces, but also great films to be added towards James Cameron's filmography. And with this third movie, I am very excited to see where this world of Pandora and the Na'vi go forward because we are going to be introduced to the fire tribe of the Na'vi, which I think is going to be very interesting to see, not just in terms of the story, but also visually. And we're also going to be exploring more of the planet of Pandora. And yeah, I do think that this movie is going to be just as good as the previous two Avatar movies. And if we learn anything from the box office of the first two Avatar movies, this movie is going to be a mega hit at the box office. Taking the fifth place spot is the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, this is honestly a big deal for the MCU because this is the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, finally joining the MCU. And with the way that they're setting up this movie, with it being a big stepping point towards Avengers Doomsday, a great cast like Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, giving us a comic accurate Galactus that we were robbed from the Silver Surfer movie from 2007. This movie does have high expectations after the disaster that was Fantastic from 2015. So I'm hoping that this movie can be just as big as a lot of people are hoping it would be for the Fantastic Four, and not as bad as like Fantastic. But I do think, yeah, this is gonna be like the best Marvel movie of 2025. Fourth place is gonna be going to Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Now, a lot of us FNAF fans have been waiting 8.5 years for that first FNAF movie to release from April 2015 to October 2023. So it's nice to know that the wait between FNAF 1 and FNAF 2 is only going to be about 2 years and 2 months. But still, there are a lot of things to look forward to with this second FNAF movie. I mean, for one, William Afton has now become Springtrap. He was Springlocked at the end of the first movie, so we are going to be seeing him fully as Springtrap. And we're also going to be getting the toy animatronics in this movie, which if they look just as good as like the Toy Freddy poster that we got a couple months ago, they are going to look fantastic in the movie, along with the withered animatronics. This has to be very big for like the video game community and the Five Nights at Freddy's fan base. Alright, going ahead and kickstarting the top 3 of this list, I have Dogman. Now, from the trailer that we got, this movie looks just as good as the 2017 Captain Underpants movie, and in fact, I consider this to be the closest thing that we'll be getting to a second Captain Underpants movie, because DreamWorks would rather make a terrible Megamind sequel than give us a sequel to like the masterpiece that is Captain Underpants. But even with that, I do think the Dogman series, in terms of the books, is really good, and I think there is a lot of material for DreamWorks to pull from, and I think this movie is going to be just as good as that Captain Underpants movie that DreamWorks gave us 8 years ago. And lately, I feel like DreamWorks has been on a pretty good streak of making great movies if we exclude Megamind 2. Like, I feel like that movies like The Bad Guys, Ruby Gillman, and The Wild Robot have been great, so I'm hoping that Dogman can not only be just as good as Captain Underpants, but also continue the streak of good DreamWorks movies. Our runner-up on this list is a Minecraft movie. Now, I'm in the complete minority because a lot of people are just hating on the Minecraft movie and not excited for it. But for me personally, this movie looks like a lot of fun. Now, I'm a big Minecraft fan. In fact, I've been a big fan of this series going back to the days of the PS3, essentially when the game first came out. And yeah, I really enjoyed the game. So to see it in live action, which I do think at first was a big mistake, but then seeing the world of Minecraft in live action, like seeing some of the mobs and the world of like some of the biomes, I have faith that this movie can be not like the best video game movie of all time, since I do think that the title belongs to Sonic 3, but I do think that it will be a very fun movie for the Minecraft fan base. And while a lot of people might end up hating on this movie, if it could entertain me for like 2 hours, then I'm gonna be considering this movie pretty good, and yeah, definitely a winner for video game movies. But my most anticipated movie of 2025 has to be James Gunn's Superman. I mean, that teaser trailer that we got for the movie makes the movie look like it will be the best comic book movie that we'll be getting in the year of 2025. Now, this movie has a lot of pressure going into it because it is the first film of James Gunn's new DCU. And I don't think this movie will be bad, considering that James Gunn has done great job with like the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, the Suicide Squad, and most recently Creature Commandos. So I don't think this movie will be bad, but I do think that this movie could end up being James Gunn's best comic book movie that he's ever made. But that was my 10 most anticipated movies of the year 2025. I want to hear from you guys. What are your guys' most anticipated movies of the year? Go ahead and leave that down in the comment section. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And here's for an amazing 2025. But until the next video, have a great day.